Now, the Socialist Republic of Victoria is copping plenty of flak over yesterday's budget. Business owners and property investors are going to be forced to cough up $9 billion, supposedly to pay back the money Victoria borrowed during the pandemic. Payroll tax is up and property investors will pay an average $1,300 more in land tax each year. As usual, Premier Daniel Andrews reckons he's got it right.
Well, I did lock people in their homes for a couple of years, mate, and I didn't do that for political benefit. I did it because it was the right thing to do. As I said to you, with the greatest of respect, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I've demonstrated to the Victorian community really clearly that I'm not just about doing the popular thing, I'm about doing what's right. And the right thing is to pay that credit card down.
Let's bring in Danny Hunter, founder of advisory firm The Hunter Collective. Thanks for joining us, Danny. Look, Daniel Andrews here, it's really old-fashioned sort of politics of envy taxing. He thinks he can tax landholders, landlords and investors. He can tax big business with payroll tax, can tax even private schools with payroll tax. But in the end, all these taxes are going to flow through the economy, aren't they, and hurt a lot of other people?
Yeah, that's right. Chris, good evening. Great to be with you tonight. It's a really important night here in Victoria. And what we've seen from the Andrews government over the 9 budgets that they've delivered so far has largely been quite a strong social agenda. We've seen mental health, education, hospitals being the focus and the platforms of their budget agendas. But this year, it's all been about business, landlords and paying down debt, and business and landlords being a big part of the way that they're going to do that. We've seen some really interesting things come out in the 24 hours before the budget, where they softened the blow somewhat, both in terms of raising payroll tax thresholds so that there would be less small businesses paying payroll tax, and also delivering quite a significant economic reform in terms of transferring stamp duty to land tax where it comes to industrial and commercial properties. But that certainly didn't go as far as what they announced on budget day, which was significant increases in payroll tax through what they're calling a COVID debt levy, which effectively doubles the mental health levy that was introduced 2 years ago, and also an increase in land tax for those properties that are not the principal place of residence, but that second, third and onwards home, industrial property, office, anything that attracts land tax.
Yeah, but we all know about the cost of living crisis and the housing crisis. We all know how tough it is for renters at the moment, and there's this sort of rhetoric as if they're hitting the capital, if you like, in old-fashioned terms. But landlords are going to have to pass these costs on directly to renters, aren't they, if they're not going to get rid of the properties as holiday homes?
These extra cost levies, taxes, call them what you will, certainly will flow through the economy. And we've seen a very strong response from property bodies, particularly the real estate industry, talking about how incredibly impactful this is going to be on rents at a time when rents are increasing exponentially across the city and also in our regional areas. The Treasurer today, interestingly, opened the door to talk about rent caps and caps on the cost of renting a property. Now, that will certainly please those in the community sector who've been advocating for more support around costs of rent, but have infuriated real estate sector members. And also, watching the news today, there's been so much coverage of your truck driver who owns a property or your your person who owns one through their self-managed super fund. Yep. The costs of that land tax increase, they say, are going to be passed through to the rents. They can't avoid it, and it certainly is going to bite those hip pockets.
Yeah, it is going to hurt a lot of people. We'll follow that with interest. Thanks so much for joining us, Danny. I appreciate it. Just before we move on to the next topic, I just want to show you this tweet from the Tasmanian Premier, Jeremy Rockcliffe. He says, if you want lower taxes, cheaper power and a state that backs small business, bring your business down from Victoria to Tasmania. So that's going to be fascinating to watch for sure. Other states trying to capitalise on what Daniel Andrews is doing in Victoria. It'll be a worry because we need the Victorian economy flourishing for the rest of the country as well.